Hi, this is Zach here with the US Chartbreakers here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 28th of August. Starting off with the S&P as usual, and here we've just, if you look closely, we've just broken that resistance, the RSI resistance line there through 62. Not quite a sort of a substantive break of that line, but a decent one. And here you can see that we're still trying to stretch towards 650, the top of the 1 year trend rising trend channel, or rather the April rising trend channel from this year. And we're looking at that area while we're above the floor of the channel, currently around 64.10. Moving along to the Nasdaq, and here you can see that the this market has echoed what we're seeing at the S&P. RSI in the upper 50s, which is in a good place. We're still looking for the top of that April rising trend channel as high as 24,500. Probably looking for that by the end of next month, giving it a bit of extra time, and looking for that while we're above the 50-day moving average, which is around 23,300. Best case scenario target, if we have a big melt up, would be up towards that late January resistance line projection 25,700 again by the end of next month or going into October. Moving along to the stocks, and starting off with quite a mover coming up here, Golden Heaven, which is, I suppose, living up to its name at the moment. The rising trend channel base, top of the channel there, heading towards $13. Probably looking for that by the end of October, while we remain above the floor of the channel there, around $5.50. RSI is still below neutral 50, so there is some time if you are cautious to wait for that to get through 50 and then assume that we'll have a proper move to $13. Moving along to Inno Holdings, and here the good news is that we managed to break through the break above the 200-day moving average area, $3.77. While we're above that, we're looking at the top of that rising trend channel base there from back in April as high as $12.30. Looking at that probably by the end of October, given where we are in August, so giving this 6 to 8 weeks or so, and hoping that there'll be no end of day close back below that 200-day line in the meantime. Kohls is a stock which we've covered of late, but not that recently. Here you can see that we've got this decent turnaround here, there, not quite a U shape, but we've had the bear trap island reversal, so gapping down in March and gapping up in July, which tends to be a strong signal on the upside. We also had at least three RSI 50 plus or RSI 50 rebounds in the recent past. Say five by since the beginning of last month, and above the floor of the latest gap around $14.20. We're looking for a retest of July resistance through $21 by the end of next month, i.e., by the end of September. Next on the list is Mongo, and here you can see that we've gapped up through all the recent resistance. There's also been a bear trap island reversal, gapping down in March and gapping up now. The ideal scenario now is that we stay above the old February resistance around the $280 level. Above that, we're looking for the top of the rising trend channel as high as $400 by the end of next month. But the key here is basically holding above that old February resistance of $280. Otherwise, things become more complex and delayed. New situation for us to look at the moment is Neuphoria, and here broken through recent resistance around the $8, well, basically the $9 area. Above that, looking at the top of the rising trend channel from back in August last year as high as $14.70, and looking for that by the end of next month. On to another relatively new situation in terms of us covering this, the stock. Here we've got OneMedNet, and here a very strong key reversal to the upside in yesterday's session, opening at the low, closing at the high. Also a couple of RSI 50 plus rebounds. The view at the moment is the longer we stay above the 50-day moving, or rather the 200-day moving average at $72.20, the greater the chance of move to the top of that rising trend channel base from back at the end of January as high as $132 by the end of October. New name coming up now, which is Pitanium, and here it's a situation which is, well, I suppose a relatively new company to the market. But what is interesting here is that we've got the shares between the old resistance there around $2.20 and previous support around the $1.20 level above 120 on an end of day close basis, looking for 220 by the end of next month. Doesn't get simpler than that, I suppose. QVC is the next situation, and here rising trend channel base after a long, long time in the wilderness. You can see that at the top of the channel they're heading towards the $10 area, and we're looking for that by the end of next month, while we're above a recent broken of the initial August resistance around $4.80. Ideally, the shares stay on the right side of 550, but that might be expecting too much. Sharps is next, and here it's another situation where we're bottoming out, rising trend channel base, top of the channel there at $14, so expecting the shares to double by the end of October, while they remain above the for the latest gap there at $10. Ideally, there's no end of day close back below $13, but once again, that might be too much to ask, even though that was the resistance earlier in the week. Finishing off with an interestingly named company, Skyline Builders. Here we got a falling trend channel, and hoping that the shares will, even though if they fade away again later, will head up to the top of that channel. The current level there to look at is up to $1.80. We're looking for that by the end of September, while we're above the recent resistance through the 63 cents level. So above 63, looking for a decent upside towards $1.80. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.